our privacy data just isn't protected as well as it should be.
I'm sorry, you said something, private. How do you pronounce that? Because I don't think we have that here in
No,
America.
no,
Is it in
I
another
mean, not
country?
really. Like, I mean, how many? Like, if we want to go out to eat, if you want to go to any fast food restaurant, you have to download an app on your phone.
This episode is made possible by OIT VoIP. Find your best-in-class revenue generation for MSPs all over the world. Learn more via the link in the show notes.
Good morning, and welcome to the September 26th episode of MSP Dispatch, your source for news, community events, and commentary in the MSP channel. My name is Tony Francisco, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Mr. Josh Hobine. How are you doing, brother?
Dude, great. I upgraded phones for the first time today in like 4 years. So I got the Pixel 9. Um, and
Ooh.
I completely blanked on setting up the MFA before I traded my other phone in. So it's been a fun morning of trying to chase all that down. I haven't gotten to play with it much yet. Maybe next episode I'll be able to give you if I like it or not.
Well, before you get into that, I think we should get into the news. In my first story, Disney is ditching Slack after a massive July data breach. In a story from bleepingcomputer.com, a source from Lawrence Abrams, Disney is abandoning Slack following a major data breach in July, which exposed 1.1 terabytes of confidential information, including messages from 10,000 Slack channels. The breach, carried out by a hacker named Nullbulge, don't laugh at that one, compromised sensitive data such as upcoming projects and financial data. Disney has already begun migrating to new communication tools and plans to complete the transition by the end of its fiscal quarter. This breach follows a similar incident in June with 2.5 gigs of data being leaked. It remains unclear whether Disney will adopt another platform like Microsoft Teams or develop its own internal system for employee communication. I have developed platforms, very complex systems. I have developed communication processes, and I have found that it is a horrible process developing something that's already readily available. So an out-of-the-box solution such as Teams is just amazing. What are your thoughts? Should they go with something out of the box, or should they develop their own solution?
So I actually have a question. Let's back this up. Is this a employee process problem or a product problem, right? Why did it get breached? Is it because an employee did something they weren't supposed to do? Is there a lack of DLP controls? Or was there a vulnerability in the Slack? That's my first question, because you can move to whatever product you want. If you have an insider threat that is exposing that data, then a new platform isn't going to solve that problem. To your second point, where do they go? I mean, I'm also a Teams fan. I think it's absolutely great for communication, and it goes off of the build it versus buy it model, right? Now Disney's huge, and they're one of the few companies that could probably have the resources to make something. I mean, they have their own team of developers. So if you're going to create an internal one, you're not going to have as much manpower or resources as the standalone SaaS products would. So there is, you can put up the pros and cons of what you want it to do, what you're trying to do, but there's no need to reinvent the wheel.
Absolutely incredible assessment, Josh. I'd like to pull this just a bit to the side and talk about simplicity. And when you're creating something, the ancillary components, such as, well, what about auditing? What about security? What about archives? What is the retention time and all the processes that you're trying to support with this mechanism you're trying to build that have to adhere to the policies that you have to adhere to? These are the questions that everybody is going to have to ask. Remember, Disney will be judged based on their decision, not based on the choices they had at the time. In the meantime, I do believe you have another story regarding decisions and security and all the fun stuff we have to deal with day to day.
We have an update to Tuesday's story. LinkedIn scraped user data for training before updating its terms of service. We have a article from Nathan Reddy at Dark Reading. LinkedIn recently faced criticism for using user data to train its AI models without proper notice to users. The company failed to update its privacy policy to reflect this practice, but has since made corrections. LinkedIn now offers an opt-out features for users who don't want their data used for AI training, although it won't affect past data usage. Users expressed concerns over the lack of consent as they were automatically included. Experts like Shiva Nathan argue this creates trust issues. While the US has limited regulations, LinkedIn has suspended AI training on user data in Europe due to stricter laws. So, have you come across the Tony AI bot on LinkedIn yet?
I I have not, but I use my Josh and Ray GPT to help me battle those bots when they do arrive. I'm fascinated because in the story that we talked about, this is one of those slip ups. This is one of those in software development world. This is almost QA, quality assurance, kind of the checking before it gets released. They did the update, which probably have told people that we're doing that update. That's what was going on, and of course, people got no tizzy about it. What are your thoughts on this, Josh?
Well, I mean, that's just it. What's the impact? Is anyone going to leave LinkedIn over it? I mean, a handful of people. What's going to change? Let's be realistic here. So, what is our recourse? I mean, realistically, what can happen? Our privacy data just isn't protected as well as it should be.
I'm sorry, you said something private. How do you pronounce that? Because I don't think we have that here in
No,
America.
no,
Are you from
I
another
mean, not
country?
really. Like, I mean, how many? If we want to go out to eat, if you want to go to any fast food restaurant, you have to download an app on your phone so you can, not pay $20 for a simple, like burger meal, right? And that's just you're just giving your privacy away for all of that. Sorry to sound negative, but yeah, well, I don't think anything's gonna happen.
I think at some point this is going to, explode in a supernova style environment, kind of like the P Diddy stuff that's happening right now. Got Vanguard, and you've got BlackRock, and you've got was it Safe Street or Smart Street, the three big, and they're all the biggest investor in each other, but they're also invested in 95% of the Fortune 500 companies. And you start looking at all these big things that have been happening almost in an ambient way around us for so long. The question is, what does the corrective timeline look like? I would like to think that the fact that we are acknowledging it for the first time allows us to move forward in a correct path. In the meantime, it is nice to actually hear some level of self-accountability and acknowledgement. But if people come down on that too hard, then I think it will suppress any further movement in that direction. So just my personal opinion. For those of you out there in the audience listening, I would love to hear from you. In fact, we actually have a place for something like this. It's like a server where there's a whole bunch of discombobulated, Discord, maybe a Discord server. If we have a Discord, whoever's editing right now is doing an amazing job. We have a Discord server where you can actually be engaged. There's the QR code. If you're watching this on your computer, which a lot of you do, flash that with your iPhone, jump on in, look for MMN Discord. You'll actually see it pop up in your first results and get involved. For those of you out there, please, please, please stay up to date, stay educated. Now, how do you do that? We've got quite a few events happening in our industry. We've got ScaleCon happening in person in October 2nd to the 4th in Las Vegas. We have the Huntress Roadshow in-person event on October 3rd in Newark, New Jersey. We have the Deep Cyber Dive 2024 MSP Revenue Blueprint represented by Fin Security. Love them. It's a virtual event on October 8th through the 10th from 12 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And finally, we have Channel Pro Live in Dallas. That's in person in Dallas on October 9th through the 10th. So I'm going to sign us off. Everyone, stay educated. Please stay safe.
This has been a broadcast of the MSP Media Network.